Okay. All right. I didn't get the PNG. Okay, hello everyone. It's me, that guy. I'm back, and I didn't get the fucking PNG. So we need a PNG. At least I think. I really need to get a full. I really just need to peel all this shit out of my um out of my downloads folder and put it into its own folder so that I can, you know, just have it. I need to not scroll. Okay. All right. So, all right. Can we find a decent PNG? Okay. Can we find one that's not fucking sideways? Because paint is a pain. Please, I need one that's not sideways. Why are they all sideways? Oh, you know what? This will have to work. I've doctored images for stream before, and I can do it again. Okay. 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 Yes. Yes, okay. Okay. Did that. Got that. Now we need to put it onto the streams thing so we can make that work. Okay. It's gonna be just a little bit cut off, but we got it. I shaved today, so my face not only feels funny, but it itches like a motherfucker. I didn't even do the normal thing that I do, where I shave all the way off. I actually managed to trim this time, though I did go much closer on the neck, but I managed to spare the jawline entirely, which that was surprising for me. I didn't expect to be able to do that, but here we are. Anyway, I'm not getting, you know, just to cite some recent examples, I'm not getting, nacho cheese and, tea and marinara sauce stuck in my mustache anymore. So, God, honestly, I do not understand how men with those, really giant, really impressive beards, I don't know how they either A, avoid getting food stuck, on their face, or B, don't have, the aforementioned food getting stuck on their face. I don't understand how they avoid going insane because it bothers the hell out of me. Might be one of those things where, oh, you just get used to it and then it doesn't bother you anymore. In which case, I guess fair enough. Fair enough. It is a little bit uneven in places because I guess I didn't put too terribly much effort into it, but it'll fill back in, and maybe it was a stupid idea to do this because it's still, you know, below freezing on a lot of days. But I work inside most of the time, and also I don't really, stand outside, for for fun and pleasure, I guess. I generally don't do that, especially since Duet Night Abyss has been consuming my life. I really haven't been going outside at all, unless it's to, go to work. Or, yeah, that's pretty much it. I pretty much just go to work. I mean, occasionally I'll go somewhere else, but for the most part, we go to work. So what have we got today? Well, we've got a nice, long, classic stick that I enjoy quite a lot, and I think Aiden likes these. I could be totally wrong about that. I could be totally wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure Aiden likes these. Yeah, watch me be just completely wrong, just dead wrong. You know, he's gonna take, he's gonna listen to this VOD and he's gonna, text me about it or something and go, actually, no, I'm not really a big fan of the Herencias, and I'm gonna feel like an idiot. Or I'm right and he likes them and he's going to text me or wait until we talk to each other again to say, actually, yeah, no, I'm fine with the Herencias. In which case, fucking, I guess I'll find out in either, Thursday night or Tuesday night. Mm, yeah, I'll find out either Tuesday night or, which is to say a week from now, or Thursday night, which is to say 2 days from now. But anyway, what do we have? What do we have today? What do we have today? We have the La Herencia Cubana Core. I love these. I don't remember how I got a hold of my first one, but I do enjoy them greatly. I didn't expect to do that. Type of response here. Okay. Anyway, make sure I'm not accidentally. Whoop. Not that one. We are going fishing. Why am I doing this? To pull up the fucking fishing map. Idiot. I'll probably just go fishing entirely at Mist Wharf. Well, we'll do a couple of other things before. We'll do a couple of other things before I do that. Because it's Duet Night Abyss, and I haven't actually done like a regular DNA stream. It's always been, alright guys, we're gonna fish while I ramble during my Tuesday stream. Tuesday? My Wednesday morning stream. Yeah. That's about right. Anyway. As for things to ramble about, I've got a couple things, but we'll probably just devolve into. Actually, you know what? I've got an idea. I've got a big idea for a couple. We'll go through the couple of smaller things that I thought up of earlier, which is to say, 30 minutes ago, and then there's something else that I've got an idea for that I could just go on and on and on about. Yeah. Anyway. We gotta snip and light. The old snip and light. Again, so good not to have to immediately after taking a drink out of that, because I wasn't careful with it, take a napkin and wipe, tea out of my mustache, and possibly, just this area, the hair around my chin. It's so good to not have to do that. I look kind of strange because my hair is getting a little bit longer. I need to get a haircut, but it works. It works. I can deal with this much facial hair, and if I need to be clean shaven, then with this much, it's not too terribly much effort to just clean the rest off for whatever reason. Okay. Anyway. Alright. So the Herencia core. This is a decently long densely packed, box pressed cigar. This is this cigar is probably a really good example of getting your money's worth. Because I'm pretty sure, you know what, actually, let's not be pretty sure. I'm gonna fucking verify. We're gonna verify right here. But I'm pretty sure that these things are like $8 a piece, even at this size. These are wild smokes. We're gonna find out though. La Herencia Cubana Core. Okay, box of pack of 5. Okay, that was incorrect. Wait a minute. Is this the 660? Hold on. Just the Bellicoso. Wait. Yeah, this is the Bellicoso. Okay. It seems I was slightly incorrect. Well, they're not $8 a piece. They're just a little bit more than 10. But for the amount of smoke that I will get out of this, I would pay, you know, for the amount of smoke I would get out of this. You know, this is a normal cigar of that would put out this amount of smoke as this one would normally be priced at rather $12 plus. And the thing is with this, I would pay that. But it's really good that it's just a little bit over 10. It's like $10.02, maybe 3 if you round it, but well, 5 I guess if you round it because I recently found out that pennies are no longer being made, which cool. That's awesome. No more pennies. Well, no more pennies being made, which is fine. Businesses can decide. I mean, they're like, businesses can still accept them, but don't be surprised if, businesses don't have them because they're not going to order them anymore. I'm fine with it. I don't care. I mean, really a 5 cent piece, a 10 cent piece, and a 25 cent piece. That seems fine. That seems adequate for, you know, for us. I mean, hell, if we just replaced $1 bills with, dollar coins, that'd be fine. I'd be cool with that. But that's that's just me. That's just one of my potentially really bad financial opinions. You know. Yeah, here we go. Welcome to the the early morning smoking hour where I give you bad financial opinions like I okay with the pennies not being made anymore and we should replace dollar bills with dollar coins. I mean, I don't see that. I mean, we already make the dollar coins. So why not just I don't know, I don't know how much it costs to make a dollar bill. I don't know how much it costs to make a dollar coin, but whichever one's cheaper, keep that one, maybe, and then get rid of the other one. Or, whichever one is cheaper, with its longevity in mind. Because obviously a coin made of metal is in is more durable in more circumstances than, a a piece of paper and cotton. Just I mean, in most circumstances, there's probably at least one circumstance where if you subject a dollar bill to that circumstance, it will come out less scathed than if you put a coin in that circumstance. What that is, I have no clue. But if I'm pretty sure I could figure it out if I thought about it. But you know, I'm being a little bit facetious here. Anyway, so the Herencia La Herencia Cubana Core. I love these. I love these so much. They're so I don't want to say they're so basic because that doesn't sound like a compliment, but They're simple. They're incredibly solid. I've never had a problem with any of these, except for clean peeling the the band, but that's not really an issue with the cigar itself. It's just an issue with the label is made out of parchment and they use just a little bit too much glue on it sometimes. But I don't really simple, solid, incredibly solid, like a brick house cigar, and like I said, this will put out as much smoke as an equivalently long cigar that costs more money. So and I don't know. Also, for an AJ Fernandez, the light up isn't super harsh, but it still maintains strong, the really good, really strong flavor that he seems to blend into every that he seems to be able to bring out in every blend that he does. So it's just I don't know. I don't know. It's one that it's a cigar that I think about a lot and that I keep coming back to. I would do the same thing for the Relic, but those aren't made anymore. So, this is based, if the Relic didn't exist, this would probably be my favorite cigar. Maybe not. Maybe not, but this one is definitely top 10. Yeah, definitely. I could say definitely top 10. Top 5? I don't know. I'd have to think about that one. But top 10? Yes, definitely. Definitely top 10. What would be? No, I think no, no, that's something for another time. That's something I need to think about, and then we actually, that's something I need to fucking think about. Okay, so let's get the light up started. It's gonna be great, everybody. Okay, you and make sure to get several matches up because I imagine that I might lose track of things like I always do, and we might need a relight or two. Or maybe I'll finally have some kind of like stupid trouble with one of these. Who knows? There we go. Oh, oh, come on. You got it? Okay, cool. Oh, right, I haven't put up the game yet. Like I said, it's still got that classic AJ Fernandez strong spice on light up, but it's not it's not coating and sticking to my palate for maybe just a hair just a touch longer than it would be welcome. Instead, it's making itself known, and then it's passing. I think that's another thing that I really like about these is that they do that. The spice will come in, it will announce its presence to your entire palate, and then not quite immediately after that, but you know, not an appropriate amount of time after that, it will then go, all right, good day, and then it's gone. It's gone. And we're already diving right into flavor with this, which this cigar is dominated. This cigar is dominated by a strong earthy flavor. You know, which I guess the last one was, and the last week's smoke was as well. However, as we burn this further and further down, it the earth dominates this cigar. However, there are other flavors that come into play, which is quite nice. Last week that Five Vegas wasn't bad, but it was also dominated by the earth, but far too much, and that makes honestly quite a bit of difference. Um, you know, it was difficult to taste through the earth in the Five Vegas AAA, and uh, you know, because of that, the other flavors really kind of fell hard by the wayside. So that's just how it is sometimes. But anyway, we're going to do the fishing thing that we do with. Oh, wait, no, I should do it like this. Yeah. Also, I should take this off because it's right there, and we're gonna switch back, and it's gonna be this whole thing. Anyway, yeah. So the account has developed nicely.
Kill.
Um,
Use a sword in hand. Define peace. Sharpen the sword within.
so I got the new guy. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Keizo. I don't know. I'm not Chinese. So, my pronunciation may be off. I also got Fantasio.
Set the stage.
Now, for those of you who don't know, back when I was playing the second closed beta, and I was, back when this was still a gacha game, I was, rolling, and Fantasio was the first 5-star that I got. And I thought, okay, so what's he all about? And then, looking through skills and all this, his ult caught my attention and went, that looks awesome. And then I actually started, playing Fantasio, and I, figured, oh, he is awesome. And, getting him in, like, the proper getting into the proper game is much better. The problem, I think, and I didn't realize this while I didn't realize this while I was, I didn't realize this while when I was doing the closed beta, but he does have a sanity restore effect on himself. The problem is that you need 10 Adagio stacks, which is really hard, it's not really hard to do, but it does require a lot of management. You have to do only the 3-hit combo when he's in ult, and then you have to stop, and then you have to do the 3-hit combo again. Mournful Howl is the beam, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, you have to do a 3-hit combo, and as you can see here, there's only a 2/3, like 2 out of 3 chance to actually put an extra Adagio stack on the enemy, and you have to get up to 10. Now, obviously, you can boss with this man, and really the way to do it is just hit him twice with your skill, hit him with your skill pre-ult twice, and then go into ult, restore a bunch of sanity, and just start tearing the boss apart. It's great fun. It's great fun. I mean, even with that being said, because I don't know if any of his interons remedy this issue. See, this is actually a really good sustain interon. this concerto? Oh. Okay. So let's see. Interon 1 is really good for sustain. Interon 2 is just making the 3-hit, just do the 3-hit combo better and just makes it, fully consistent. Yeah, this isn't just a damage buff that incentivizes you to have the 10 stacks of Adagio. And then Presto grants an additional 90% morale increase. Oh, Wait, Presto is this? No. Is this? Is this? Where is this? What is this? Where is Presto? Presto. Am I an idiot? Oh, here it is. So doing his skill in ult. What is this? Doing his skill in ult makes it. Yeah, doing his skill in ult gives you a morale increase, which is a big morale increase, and then when Duo's immersion is triggered, so you might be able to have some good uptime with Presto's duration, especially considering how fast he attacks. Especially once, you already go beast mode with the ult, but you can go even further beyond with certain things. With something built into the ult. I put this go out like some idiot. And it's just, he's crazy. I love Fantasio. Oh, I do enjoy Fantasio quite a lot. Now I was going to say, he's my favorite Umbro character. There are 2 of them, which I realized today. And I thought, wow, Umbro's getting shafted hard because 2, 5, 3, 4, 4, 3. Umbro has the least number. It's not even tied with anything. It's just the one that we don't have a lot of characters for. But it's fine. It's whatever. And for some reason this says to build him for, the game tells you to build him for skill range. You don't really need to. Really what you want to build him on is attack, sanity, and efficiency. Duration helps with the efficiency thing because of how duration plays into different things, but yeah. I could slap Blaze, Covenanter's Blaze Spectrum on him. I could do that. Or, see, the thing is with Arbiters is I'm pretty sure he inherits weapon stats, which means your weapon becomes a much better stat stick than normal. And so wait a second. Hold on. If he inherits from weapon, crit chance. We want to run Iron Forger on him, not Pyro Thirst. Right? Wait, let's go to the archive. The archive will tell me what I need to know. Melee weapons. Iron Forger, switch to max. See, he plays with combo, I think, but I don't think he does. Okay, we need to run a quick Fantasio test.
You have set the stage anew.
Okay. We need to run a quick Fantasio test. Alright. Okay. So we're gonna need some bulky boys. And spawn. Okay. We just need them to be... We need them to be inactive.
Even if I reduce it
Oh, he doesn't do combo. Shit. Is that the Adachi? Wait. Hold on. Oh, wait. Oh, I've misunderstood him. Oh my god. Okay. So we have learned things. I've learned something.
You have set the stage anew.
I've learned something just from that observation there. I learned something. So let me show you what let me demonstrate what I've learned, right? Okay, so we're gonna go in here without any enemies. We're gonna go in here without any enemies. I'm gonna tell you what I've learned. So
Take my heart.
the 3-hit combo, right? As long as you just keep doing... Wait, actually, hold on. This will be easier to explain if I have an enemy. I need 1 Savage Filthwood. And I need 1 Savage Filthwood. So, right.
Even if all dreams are shattered.
So, when it comes to, like, inflicting Adagio stacks through the 3-hit combo, do you see that right there, that 10? This is the 3-hit combo. That's the 4th hit. Yeah, you have to stop attacking to do the 4th hit, otherwise you'll just keep doing 3 hits at a time. So... But I think he does inherit weapon stats, but he doesn't do combo, so Iron Forger
Set
doesn't
the stage
work.
anew for me.
In which case, we have to find another weapon. I wonder if this would work. I wonder if Remainant would actually work. Because I don't know if it, I don't know, I doubt it inherits the special ability. It probably just inherits stats. Which means I need to think. Can't believe I'm so stupid. But, this inherits stats, but not, you know, skill. Or does it? I don't know. Probably not. Then again, well, no, because that translates down here. So, yes. We don't need range, crit damage. No. Attack speed. Okay, so we want something that's just, wait. Crit damage. But he doesn't do combos, so we can't really benefit from that. I mean, crit chance is crit chance. Crit chance is just gonna work. Crit chance is just gonna be really nice for him. So I think we do still run Iron Forger for crit chance. Yes. And then... Okay, it seems I need to, do some adjustments here. Ooh. Okay, alright. Do we want Rage Trammel just yet? Well, it's already got crit chance. Well, let's see, Rage is 100%. Yeah, okay, alright, anyway. Enough distractions. Enough distractions. So, I am still working on Fantasio, and apparently, you know, discovering new things about him. So, actually, this makes him, that makes him much easier to use. Because I don't have to be as conscious about, you know, 3-hit stop, 3-hit stop. That's not what you do. You keep wailing on them. You keep wailing on the enemies until you see, you know, that they have 10 stacks, and then just whoosh, then, you know, stop attacking for a second to do the last hit in the combo. Oh, ho, ho. Oh, ho, ho. We're learning together, boys. We're learning together. You know, old GZ's an idiot. Does it say that anywhere? Let's see. When the 3-hit deals damage, triggers Duo. When it triggers, you know, Fermata. That explains why the immersion gains are so good. Okay. Restores Fantasio's sanity and grants a certain amount of immersion. Wait a minute. How much sanity does this restore? Immersion granted by Duo. Fermata sanity or kept 10 sanity. That sucks, dude. 10 sanity fucking sucks. I wish that could be buffed. Wait. Can that be buffed? Hold on. Does that buff? That never buffs. You just more damage. Also, 2,000% damage. 2,000 to. Oh wow, the 3-hit. The 3-hit combo does not. It just is down. I think we alternate though between. You know, I think you just do 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, and then when you stop attacking, you do the 5,000. Damn. Also, skill efficiency up on him, which is great, which is fantastic. But yeah, I'm working on him, in which he is going to be my fat cock Umbro DPS. Which, you know, sorry Veronica, but I don't like that Veronica like levitates higher and higher as she uses her ult. Also, her ult burns way too much sanity, even with. I say that. Yeah, even with the build that I've got going, she burns way too much sanity way too fast. And I don't understand why. Yeah, she burns way too much sanity way too fast.
Use a sword in hand.
But that's...
To find peace.
Anyway, so
The sword within.
I did get, you know, Keijo, and I do use a katana with him just because this one matches his kind of color scheme. It's black, white, and gold. Just like him. I mean, he doesn't have that much gold, but it's, you know, it's enough. Anyway, we're gonna go to Mist Wharf so we can do the fishing, because I did not realize that part of the fishing shop it resets every month. So we're gonna do fishing, which I need to get my fishing Genimon. There we go. And then we need to be mindful of the time. Oh. Oh, I don't know what came over me. Yeah. Anyway. God. Yeah, anyway, so we need to fish. We need to start fishing at dawn. So we're just gonna sit here and have Keijo look at us until dawn. We're just gonna. Actually, I should switch bays. I have a lot of bays. Holy shit! And then yeah, so part of this Oh, I forgot the day switched over. More bait. More bait. I still haven't gotten the depth Genimon because I don't really need him. But I'm pretty sure, and I could be wrong, that once I clear out the, you know, some of the different items, you know, in this shop, meaning the Carmine Globules, the money, and the 2 different experience types, these will also reset monthly, which is great news. And I can clear that out no problem. Also, I need more toy hammers, so we'll be getting. Well, I don't need them right now, but in the future, you know, since I spend 3 every time I get a new weapon. What is this? Okay. Anyway. I need to stop fucking messing around and actually just like smoke on this, so I don't have to keep relighting it. That's the problem. That's a problem. But yeah, I'm fairly certain. I could be wrong. I could be dead wrong. But yeah, we're after. What are we after today, everybody? Money. All right, money. Because even though I figured out how to quick farm character XP. I figured out how to quick farm. I haven't even needed weapon XP yet, but I've also been neglecting my weapons. So that will probably change soon. But I could figure out how to. But I'm pretty sure I could easily figure out how to quick farm that. But yeah, I can quick farm character XP. I'm gonna get the Carmine globules because now that I'm messing with gold demon wedges, I need a lot. But gold experience books for characters. Probably gonna grab those. I don't know if the dye refresh. The Geniemon creams don't, but they're also unlimited. So the purple ones at least. So that's fine with me. So whatever. And then I just have a feeling, just a gut feeling that once I clear out, the money, the Carmine globules, and the 2 experience types, that those will also refresh monthly. Hoping. But we'll see. I need to turn on this mouse so that I can use it on my leg like I typically do. Because let's see, what time does dawn start? At 4. We could just time skip to 11. Actually, we're just going to do that. We're just going to time skip to 11. Sweet. And now... Oh god, there's another one. There's another Keijo right there. Why is he shorter than me? He always got the outfit, and he's got his Vernal Jade Halberd just all in silver. That looks awesome. That looks cool. Anyway, we fish now. Actually, hold on. Let me puff on this a little bit, waste a little bit of time. So that way it moves to noon and we can hopefully get a bunch of goldfish. Gold rare meat. Yeah, I didn't even... Oh, no, it's burning. I just need to puff it. Alright, I'll take a quick drink and then we'll puff. I wish it was 10... I wish you would restore more sanity on Fantasio with the Adagio stacks. Because, I guess once enemies reach a certain toughness, you can, pretty much do the last hit in the combo as like a finisher, and also clear those stacks for extra damage to make sure that your finisher, finishes them off. But I don't know. Anyway, we need to puff on this. Oh, baby. And the mouse fell off my leg. That's awesome. Where did it go? Where did it go? Chair. Uh-oh. I clicked. We don't have game sound anymore. Where did we click? Oh. Okay. Oh. Okay, gotta be mindful here. Don't want to stretch too much, otherwise I might end up with a giant mess. This is like a gallon of tea. Oh, it's 3 quarts. Really? Alright. I don't want to touch this up again, but I will if I have to, so let's just puff. Let's just puff for a minute. Yeah, we gotta touch it up again. We gotta touch it up again. So I just realized I don't have a... Well, I can grab a lunchbox for Thursday. It's fine. I just realized I don't have one sitting around. I'm gonna need one. That's because I threw the one away, damn it. Well. Alright. Just my sitting posture to be a little bit more comfortable. A little bit more comfortable. But yeah, we're gonna have to touch this. Just on the bottom, a little bit on the sides. Then we're gonna proper rhythm down, and then we start the rambling. You know? Okay. Alright, we got a good burn. We got a good burn. We'll just pump on it just a little bit more. And yeah, then we're good to go. So the sun is on high, which means we start fishing. But, yeah. You know. So today I had an extended interaction with my landlord. We were testing the electricals of the house to make sure that everything was on the up and up and everything was working. And, you know, that took 2 hours. Of course, it probably wouldn't have taken 2 hours had I, you know, decided to, you know, take over sooner, but, you know, once I got going with it. It's like, okay, alright, I know what to do. We just, you know, flip a switch, check to see, you know, basically check all the outlets and stuff. Check to see which stuff on the panel corresponds with what, and, you know, see if anything needs replaced, and if it does, you know, I guess take note, since that started doing that at 8 o'clock. The man told me, oh hey, by the way, you know, I'm gonna give you a call in the early afternoon, to, you know, get this done. You know, so when somebody says early afternoon, you know, my thought drifts to, okay, that's, you know, early afternoon sounds like, I don't know, around 2 o'clock, you know, the time that I, you know, typically get up. So I thought, okay, that'll be fine. That'll be okay. I can do that. And then, you know, I thought, okay, 2 o'clock, it's fine. So I got up at 2 o'clock. And I didn't have my phone on Do Not Disturb, just in case early afternoon, you know, meant, you know, really early afternoon. So I was up at 2, and I waited for the call. I didn't do anything else today. You know, I just waited for the call. 8 p.m. is when he finally showed up. You know, I got a message at 7 saying, oh, he'll be there in about half an hour. Okay. Alright, 7 o'clock, half an hour, whatever. And then he got here at 8. I went, okay. Alright. Fine, I guess. And then, you know, 2 hours. You know, 2 hours of messing with the electricals of the house, you know, checking everything. It's like, okay, fine. Great. Whatever. Gotta stop blowing at the camera. But again, I really also, maybe I should just move the camera back over where it was. You know? But I guess then you get a view of Hugh in the background. He's always there. You know, a stalwart guardian. I say stalwart, but he's a skeleton. But, yeah, so that was something. That was fun. You know, and the weirdest part of it came at the end, where, you know, he was like, oh, I'm really pleased and impressed with you. It was like, what? Yeah, and then as a result of him being so impressed or whatever, he gave me $25. Just just like took it off his money clip and handed it to me. Went, hey, here you go. I went, okay. So I just put it in my robe and went, that's what I do. You know, you know. I don't. I don't. He's an oddball. He then, when he was leaving, so it's dark out, right? So when it's dark out and there's not too much light pollution, at the back of my house, there are stars out. The man tried to convince me that some of the stars weren't actually stars; they were drones, and one of them would leave would leave the space, the airspace above my house to follow him back to his place. I'm thinking my landlord is crazy. Just just a little bit more than the average person. But he is an older man, so I just spat all over my robe, trying to blow ash off of me. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's a lot of spit. Oh my god. Ew. Okay. Alright. Go me. Go me, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, so landlord's a little bit crazy. A little bit, just a little bit. But once I get moved into the new house, I sense that I will not be seeing too terribly much of him, as we really won't need him for stuff. I mean, if there's a problem, I'll just ask, like, look, all right, there's this issue, I can fix it. The way he writes his leases are weird, especially when it comes to maintenance, because we can do the most basic maintenance. We can do basic maintenance tasks. We can't but anything above that is requires either permission or he has to do it himself. So for example, we can like mow the lawns. We can mow the lawn. We can do any kind of like care for any of the other plant life, like tree trimming and stuff. Just to make sure, tree trimming just to make sure that nothing like falls and damages the house and stuff. We can do that. But anything above that, so replacing an appliance or fixing and or replacing an appliance, I should say, and I mean, repainting, obviously, anything like that requires permission. I mean, when it comes to repainting the house, permission makes sense. That one specifically makes sense to me. And I'm gonna have to relight that because I've rambled again too much. But so replacing and or repairing any appliances and stuff like that, we had to get is requires permission. It's just fixing an appliance. I mean, it's not a thing where it's like, hey, by the way, I don't know. Actually, let's use a recent example. Hey, by the way, I'm on the phone with him. Hey, by the way, the drain pump in the washer has died, and I want to replace it. This is something I actually did, and so I had to get permission from him to do that. It's like, hey, I figured out the problem, which took a while because I had to get the manual out of the washer to do that, to figure out, okay, what error code is this, giving me? I had to learn all that stuff. Anyway, I did that, figured that out, and went, hey, I need to replace this part. That required go-ahead. The appliance, the washer that I did this for was not his washer. you know, it was not the original washer that came into the house. We had to get permission to replace it with the one, you know, that was there. And then, yeah, so not his appliance. Um, see, we get, you know, the fridge. We had to get permission to replace the fridge when the old one died. It's like, hey, look, we can get this. You know, I know somebody. You know, we know somebody who has a who has a fridge that we can replace this one with. You know, blah blah blah. We had to get permission for that, and you know, it's you know, we can't just shoot him a text saying, hey, you know, such and such dot, you know, the I don't know. Let's get another example. Oh, hey, the heating element in the dryer went out, and I replaced it. We can't just do that. We have to go, hey, the heating element in the dryer died. Can we replace it? You know, even you know, or you know, when it comes, you know, just yeah, it's bizarre to me. But then again, I don't really have much. I don't really have over much experience, you know, with renting from people because you know, for the most part, for most of my life, I've lived here. So you know, this you know, the way he does things is what I know when it comes to you know dealing with landlords and all this. I guess not really because I the Martinsville apartment. The Martinsville apartment was essentially, oh hey, you know, for the appliances that come with the apartment, that those being the fridge and the dishwasher, just those two, you know, we need, you know, notification of, you know, if it's replaced. Also, you know, you get to keep, you know, if you move out, you don't get to keep the fridge. It's like, okay, that's kind of shitty, but c'est la vie, I guess. Um, you know, but they're like, oh yeah, by the way, you need to provide your own washer and dryer, and then those need to go with you. So I don't know. It's just some of it just seems a little odd to me. But then again, maybe maybe it's just from a lack of experience, I guess. Um, and so moving into this new house, you know, in hopefully about a month. I mean, a month and a week. We'll find out. We'll see. We'll find out. You know, hopefully that'll be. You know, hopefully we won't have to do. I won't have to do over many maintenance tasks. So that way I don't have to go, hey, you know, such and such thing needs, you know, such and such part of the house needs maintenance. Can I do this? You know, because over the years, you know, working alongside my dad to fix various issues at, you know, different houses for, you know, family members and, you know, people that he knew, I've acquired, you know, I've acquired some different experience with, you know, various things relating to that. You know, I mean, hell, I learned how to get error codes out of a washer. You know, I had to do that by myself to figure out why is this thing. You know, which part of this thing is non-functional to not allow it to drain. Turns out it was not the. It turns out it wasn't just the pump on that washer. It was the pump, but it was also the circuit board. The circuit board didn't properly register when I installed a new drain pump. I even reset the whole thing and everything, and it still didn't work. So we ended up having to replace the washer. So we had to get, you know, of course, we had to get permission to replace the drain pump on the washer. And that was, you know, I mean, that was relatively fast. Like, hey, I know what you know, this specific part needs replaced. I know where to get this specific part, and you know, yada yada yada, etc., etc. Can I do this? And you know, the response was, well, you know, if you know what you're doing, go ahead. And then afterwards, it was, oh hey, turns out the circuit board was also faulty. You know, we need to replace the washer because the, you know, it's just going to be faster. And, you know, cost to fix is not worth, you know, the expenditure. So we had to do that too. So I'm hoping, you know, with this new house, we have to get either a washer or a dryer. I don't remember. And, you know, obviously I've already gotten the clear to do that because I need to be able to wash or dry clothes. I mean, I guess if you know, we wash them, we can just hang them up to dry, but that kind of sucks. And, you know, whatever. So, yeah. Luckily, when I move into this new house, hopefully I won't have to do over many communications because, You know, the appliances will just go through probably a less than average amount of use, given what I know about myself, and also given what I know about how Aiden lives. So, you know, because we live quite similarly to each other, because, you know, we're basically the same person, except he's younger and way more bitter. But, you know, I'm really looking forward to moving into the new house. You know, just, oh, you know, just, it'll be nice. It'll be nice, you know. It'll be nice to be in a house instead of, you know, stop paying for the apart. You know, the lease will run out on the apartment, so I'm not going to pay for that anymore. And then, you know, I'll have somebody to split a house with. You know, a nice. It's a decent. It's a pretty decent 3-bedroom house. I like it. You know, and we won't have to go through a whole bunch of like rigmarole and red tape for it. You know, which is a point that I made to Aiden when I initially proposed the idea. It's like, hey, I may have found us a house, which would save us the problem of, you know, putting in an application for an apartment, paying an application fee, and then never hearing from those people again. And it's like, well, you paid us $80 for the apartment for the application to, you know, see if you can rent. You're not getting that back, idiot. So, moving into this house will be nice. Yeah. So we just have to, you know, more waiting, but at least things are so much better now that I'm not, you know, I enjoyed working at Domino's because of the boys, but the having to put up with, you know, company nonsense was just, ugh. And I don't have to really put up with that anymore. Not an AM, which helps. But oh my god. Well, that moving into the house is what I'm looking forward to now. And, you know, there is some cleaning that needs to be done on the house, but, you know, I mean, run a vacuum, run a carpet cleaner, you know, mop the linoleum, you know, sweep the garage. Simple stuff. Simple stuff. You know, I think I have to hang some blinds too, which, okay, let me just, you know, hang some blinds. You know, the blinds are already there. They're just not hung up for some reason. They're all on the floor near the windows that they go to. And, you know, hanging up blinds is not some complicated task. Yeah, but you know, we'll get to it when we get to it, I guess. I don't know. I gotta go to work tomorrow. Having 3 days off a week is really nice. You know, obviously I would prefer to have them all three next to each other, but going in, you know, on a Wednesday just to work, and then, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday off is actually really nice. I quite like it. You know, yeah, I'm only getting like 32 hours a week, but, you know, it's nice it's nice going from, you know, guaranteed overtime every week where I'm there at the pizza, you know, like 50, you know, what would end up being about 50 hours a week. So, you know, GM amounts of work, um, you know, that to working, you know, less than 40. It's so good. It's so nice. There was 1 week at pizza where I worked, I think, 2 days that week, which, you know, I knew that was going to be rough on my paycheck, but having basically a week off was so wonderful. It was so nice. You know, with all the overtime, it was so good. I enjoyed it greatly. got a really flaky ash. Which, you know, I just wipe it off the robe, you know, no problem. But it's kind of flaky. You know, not a big fan of that. But it's just, you know. Life goes on. Life goes on. Financial recovery is going. You know, I won't drift the conversation back into the money again, because, you know, that's a whole thing that I can, you know, get really passionate about and ramble much too much about. So we'll just leave it at that. It's going. You know, not exactly according to plan, but that's just because of my own shortcomings, and I'm reversing that somewhat. So that's fine. You know, started wearing my retainers again, and the bite difference is starting to come back, which isn't terrible, but it's a source of, you know, ache and pain. So whatever. But you know, things are fine. Things are okay. The Taco Bell's going fine. You know, I've got a good crew, which is something I was worried about. You know, and when I first got back, we were super short-staffed on night shift, and then the GM quickly resolved that, which was genuinely surprising, because you know, I'm used to my GMs being like, oh yeah, we'll fix it, and then, you know, we just continue to be short-staffed for, you know, the next 6 months, and then we finally get used to, you know, we get used to being short-staffed. We're heavily used to it, and then, oh hey, here's this newbie that you're gonna have to train. It's like, okay, that's okay, yeah, we'll fit him in somewhere. You know, we've kind of got our routines now at this point, but we'll fit him in somewhere. And then, you know, said newbie works like a week tops and then quits on us. So it's like, well, we're right back where we started, because, you know, night shift is not for everybody. And I'm not, you know, and I'm not even talking about, you know, just the amount of business we get and, you know, the rush and all that, and, you know, this and that. It's just, you know, the schedule, you know, working a, you know, 9p to 5a is just not easy for people, especially if they have, you know, families and lives that they want to tend to outside of work. You know, it's just not easy. And I understand that, and that's why you know, more than a handful of the newbies we've gotten over the years have quit. Some of them just don't like the workload, which, you know, I guess makes sense, but seriously, you should know what you signed up for. We tell you, like, hey, Honda's coming, and you know, that's kind of, you know, you gotta clench up for that. God damn, I really am just off rhythm today. But again, I guess I am being a little bit more impassioned with my ranting. Look, okay, here we go. Another relight. Here we go. I was hoping not to go through all the matches that I had gotten out of the box, but I guess that's the reason why I get them out of the box, huh? Yeah, I think part of the reason why my landlord, you know, tossed me 25 was because, you know, I do some gig stuff during the day, especially on my days off, and, you know, because I had to hang around all day, because, you know, early afternoon, and then I waited 6 hours. You know, I think he might have felt bad, and so he tossed me the money, and I went, yeah, this is probably about what I would have made, so, you know, it was just kind of a whatever, you know, hey, it's cash money. I need to buy Mountain Dew because I don't want a mountain die. I don't want to run out and, you know, perish. That would suck. Figuring out, now that I think about it, moving out again, you know, I'm going to have to go back to figuring out meals, which I don't think is going to be too much trouble. I think we might need to, I know we have to buy, you know, one of the, a washer or dryer, one of those two. We might also need to go out and get a microwave. I don't remember. But, I mean, a microwave isn't, you know, that'll be like a one-time expense. I know some people who can supply the laundry appliance necessary, and they will be quite generous with, you know, they'll be quite generous with a payment plan, so that way I don't have to purchase the whole thing all at once. Yeah, I mean, I guess I would go half in with Aiden, considering, you know, what we're gonna be, you know, living together. But still, you know, it'll be quite nice, you know, to have that on payment plan. So instead of just a big one-time purchase, you know, whatever. You know, the future's looking honestly pretty good. Honestly, pretty good. Another thing that we're going to have to source is an entertainment center, meaning, you know, a, you know, piece of furniture to have a TV and stuff on. I don't think either of us have consoles. Yeah, I don't think either of us have consoles. So I think what we'll do is we'll get a TV, you know, on an entertainment center, and then we'll use my laptop and, you know, kind of hook that in to the TV via HDMI, and then just use like a wireless mouse to control the laptop from. We're gonna need a couch. Fuck. Yeah, okay, we're gonna have to yeah, we're gonna have to get a fair few items. Maybe. But yeah, we're just gonna, you know, have the laptop on the entertainment center whenever we want to like watch something, and then just, you know, use a wireless mouse to control it like a remote, and then obviously we'll have a TV remote to adjust the volume to the television and all that. But yeah, I don't have a couch. I don't have a couch. I don't think Aiden has a couch, so we're gonna need to get a couch from somewhere. That'll be. And he and I will cross that bridge when we get there, I guess. You know. Yeah, we'll get something nice, something classy. Obviously, I've already got a coffee table, so that'll be, you know, that's kind of just an extra. I've got some end tables too, so that'll be something nice. I think I've got a spare HDMI somewhere. I need to get into this closet over here and, you know, grab, you know, double check to make sure, hey, do I actually have a spare HDMI, or am I gonna have to go to Walmart and spend like, you know, 10-15 bucks to get one? You know, either way, it's, you know, it's inexpensive. It's relatively inexpensive if I do have to get it, but if I don't, then that's, you know, 10-15 bucks saved. Whatever. So yeah, moving in is, it's not going to be, I mean, I don't like moving, but I think the part of it that I had the biggest grievance with was was just feeling the need to move everything at once. And then I did that, and it sucked. I was sore, I was exhausted. I had this problem with my fingers on my left hand for a while. It eventually healed. It took like 9 months to heal. You know, which, you know, maybe I accidentally, you know, kind of like fractured some stuff in there, but it's fine, it healed, you know. It didn't interfere with my work, so I didn't think, oh yeah, I should probably go, you know, see to this. But also, I don't have health insurance, so, you know, any doctor visit is paid out of pocket, and I didn't want to do that. The only doctor visit I'm willing to pay out of pocket for is my once-a-year checkup, because it's once a year, you know. I don't know, maybe once, you know, things improve further, I'll get health insurance. This looks like it might be. No, I'm just imagining it. Thought it was tarring up a little bit. That would suck. But, yeah, so. Oh, My finger twitched right as that did that. Also, I should probably wait until the daylight. You know, just gonna sit here and puff and not fish. Oh. Oh. But looking forward to moving into the house, not moving the house. Oh my god. Getting all the necessary infrastructure set up, and all that stuff. I think we're going to have to get permission to run internet cable, which, I mean, I don't see why not. Consider we did it to this house. I don't see the problem with, hey, can we, run cable for internet to this house, so we can have Wi-Fi. I don't see any potential issues with that, but like I said earlier, my landlord is a little bit of an oddball. So, there is a distinctly non-zero chance that for reasons unbeknownst to me, he'll just go, no, in which case, I'm gonna have to figure something out. Well, I guess I really shouldn't say me, because there'll be somebody else living in the house who we can, put our heads together. Put our vast intellect, and in a lot of cases, vast stupidity together to, I'm just gonna adjust this ever so slightly. There we go. So I'm more off to the side. So I don't, every time I do this, lean over this way, the game isn't blocking me. But yeah, that's what's on my mind, because that day gets closer and closer, and it's relatively close. We're almost to the end of January now, so getting closer and closer to the move-in day, which I'm looking forward to, and then in 2 or 3 months, after that is when Aiden will move in, so hopefully he'll obviously I'll help him on my days off when I can, which I don't see why I wouldn't be able to. So, we'll just, get that done. That'll be nice. I'm really looking forward to this house. I don't know if you could tell. It's not, it's not luxurious by any means, but it is more spacious than the apartment, and, in some areas it's more in some aspects it's more spacious than this house. I think overall it is. Or maybe it'll just feel like it will be, just because, it's a new space, and, I have to figure out furnishings and whatnot. So I don't know. Maybe it's not actually more spacious. I could look up the square footage online, Zillow or whatever, and see, is this house actually larger or is it not? And then we kind of just go from there. Which reminds me, I still haven't talked numbers with the landlord. Like, okay, what is rent going to look like, so that way I can relay, Another thing that really worried me, about the move, to Martin from here was, packing my things into a U-Haul, because, I have experience driving, big vehicles, so I know, it's not my car. A U-Haul, a big U-Haul truck is not my car, and, so therefore, I can't, take turns the way that I would, in my car, where I can, kind of cut them kind of sharp, kind of fast, I gotta be more mindful of, the increased mass of the vehicle that I'm driving. But also, the end table and those coffee tables have glass panels that, sit, that make up the majority of the, surface area of the top. And I don't want those to be damaged because, finding a replacement glass panel for glass pane, I guess, whatever, for those coffee tables would just be a nightmare. So I don't want to do that. So, not only am I being mindful of, oh, hey, this vehicle has a lot more mass just by itself than, my car, for example, but also I'm carrying fragile cargo. In those glass panels, I had my computer in a, the computer was in a box with foam and stuff, so, I wasn't terribly worried about it, but still, my mattress wasn't the best secured when I went to go pick up my former boss and former roommate stuff. But once we got his stuff in there, everything was kind of, things were getting a little tight, so that means everything was kind of just secured by virtue of, well, this thing can't fall over because it's leaned up against these other things. And so, it's, it was, that gave me a little bit of peace of mind, but that nervousness about it, like, oh fuck, what if something breaks? Every sound that I heard coming from the back just kind of, made that spot on the back of my neck tense up, and that was not relieved for the entire drive. And thus, I had to, I just had to deal with that until we got to the apartment that first night when we moved in, and, saw that, okay, I got, we got the stuff out of the truck, like, okay, it's not damaged. Okay, good. Woo! That whole thing. So, that's good, that's fine, that's whatever. That was nerve wracking, and it probably will be again because, I know the route that I'm going to drive to get the stuff back from Martin, but there's going to be a lot less stuff in the truck, which then brings up the issue of, oh shit, things might not. I guess I can take the steps to make sure that everything is secured better, for that. So, just take what I learned from moving the first time. And god damn it, rambling about moving. This wasn't even the original topic that I thought of. It wasn't even close. But it's what I ended up rambling about. This rope belt is riding up inside my ribs now. There we go. Just pull that down, tighten it up just a little bit so it's not, uncomfortable. Now what I was going to talk about is, with occasionally I was going to ramble about this game because, this is the game that I'm playing now. I played some Helldivers today because, I felt like it. It's like, all right, let's do a dive here. Let's see, let's get back in the saddle a little bit. And I did. It was great. I had fun. It was, Illuminate. I enjoy fighting the Illuminate. I can have fun fighting the Illuminate. When it comes to Helldivers, the bugs are my least favorite faction to fight. I love fighting bots, and, I can have fun fighting the squids. Excuse me. I can have fun fighting the squids. I can have fun fighting the squids on difficulty 10. It's, it's fine. But, yeah, so I got in, fought some squids. Did like an op and a half. I joined in. I just, hit quick play with some randoms. Did half an op, and then had to join up with some other randoms for a full op. It was good. It was great. I loved it. I had a great time. I had a fun time. Got more medals, got more samples. More medals to, complete war bonds that I've unlocked that I haven't finished. Beard hair that I shaved off earlier today on my desk. Got some more medals to finish out the war bonds that I've partially completed. Got some more samples so I can make more progress towards those last few upgrades. They are so expensive. It's the rare samples. It's the rare samples. I need like 100 more for the net. I have no, what? I need like 100 samples, 100 rare samples to, you know, get the next upgrade that I want. You know, we're good on commons. We're good on supers. It's just rare samples, you know? So, you know, because for a while there, I was doing high difficulty missions to get greater amounts of super samples because you know, my thought process was, oh, I'm not gonna get stuck on these. I'm not gonna get stuck on these. You know, it's high difficulties. You know, whatever. But no, I've got like 90 supers, so I'm pretty sure that's enough for, or close to enough for the last, you know, 4 or 5 upgrades that I need. I think. I don't know. Maybe I'll look it up. I don't know. But, you know. Yeah, it's just the sample grind is, you know, is the grind right now in Helldivers. Eventually it'll transition to super credits once I run out of war bond items to buy, and then I need a new war bond. Then I'll just sit at max metals forever. You know, when it comes to war bonds, I'm not strapped for choice. I'm pretty sure there's. See, they re-released the Killzone stuff as a war bond, so I need to get that. But that's, you know, that's one of the super expensive ones. I still don't have the Halo war bond. You know, and I've got, on top of that, I think 6, you know, war bonds, just the regular ones to get, and they're gonna release a new one soon that I'm not particularly interested in, so that one could probably sit on the back burner for a while. But, you know, I'm not strapped for choice when it comes to war bonds. I just need to farm the super credits, which, you know, once Martale is open again, you know, I know what I could, you know, I know what I'll be hitting up there. Let's go to Martale and get some supers, get some super credits, so I can buy a new war bond and, you know, clear it out. I'll probably get enough super credits together to get, you know, one or two war bonds, so that way, you know, I can spend a bunch of metals, grind up some metals, have those 2 war bonds as a buffer, so, you know, while I'm continuing to farm super credits, because, you know, metal drops happen when you're super credit farming, so it's just it'll be, you know, I could use those as a buffer, you know, or just hard focus, you know, on occasion. I guess not hard focus, I guess I'll just, you know, do high difficulty missions and the metals will just come in, you know. It's kind of whatever. Yeah. You know, that'll be in between, that'll be in between grinding in this game, which, you know. Mouse? Okay, mouse is back on, mouse is working again. We're approaching noon again, so we can, you know, get more gold fish, gold rarity fish, to sell for big coin, so that, or big fishing coins, so I can get regular coins. You know, I need those regular coins, because now that I've hit TR60, you know, the last few ascensions for characters, and then character skills, and, you know, everything in this game costs coin money, and so, yeah, it costs a lot. You know, the Mystic Maze, since I figured out that's a good money farm, you know, I can clear 70, you know, consistently, and in about 10 minutes. I need to get Lynn's into Ron's and her skills up in order to successfully clear 80 consistently, and then also do it with the negative multipliers, so that way we've got bigger gains. Yeah, you know. So, but you know, for now we're on the theater grind. Oh, okay, no fish. Okay, we got 4 golds out of that. Oh my god, that's embarrassing. We still got 11,000 fishing coins out of that. That's good stuff. Okay. money. Oh, a million. Oh, a clean million. Yes. Yes. Give me that. What else we got? And then we got, okay, more money. More money. More money. Oh, that looks good. That's just gonna evaporate. That's just gonna fucking evaporate. Once I, do a couple of quick runs to get some more mats for, different things, that money is going to evaporate. Okay, so we're beginning to have daytime. So, let's see, we could go ephemerality. We could go, I don't really go to Hayes Market that often, but we'd have to wait until, actually for most of these, we'd have to wait until nighttime. Daytime, nighttime. Hold on, let's go to Tidesaw. Ooh. Alright. Being mindful of the time to maximize our fishing coin gains, when I'm not distracted smoking and ranting. Okay. Okay, so let's see. So this fish appears during the night? I thought it was appearing during the day. Did I look at the wrong one? I was looking here, wasn't I? Hold on. Did I screw this up? Wait, that's night and dawn. Wait, we're going to the Hall of Ephemerality. And then we'll fast forward to nighttime. Which, I'm gonna have to look that up, because it's on the tooltip. Okay. So, nighttime is 20, so we will skip to 19. Awesome. So what? Nice. More resources. Slowly grinding that trial rank up to 61, I think. 62? One of those two. I don't remember. Doesn't matter. Once you hit TR 60, it really doesn't matter anymore. You just, get more stuff. Continue the grind as you were. Push the keyboard back in. I'll also really enjoy having my rolling chair back. I left that in Martinsville, just because I couldn't fit it in my car with all the other essentials. Which the essentials were my clothes, my blankets, my computer, and half my cigar collection. Those were the essentials. And, of course, my desk, so I could have something to put the computer on. But the desk actually took up quite a lot of space, even disassembled. Which one really good thing about being so close to, the house being so close, is that I can just disassemble the desk and walk it across 2 yards to the house. I don't have to, I don't have to rent a U-Haul. I mean, I'm gonna have to rent a U-Haul to bring the stuff from Martinsville here, but I don't have to rent another U-Haul to move stuff from here to the house, or use the same U-Haul. I can just, move the stuff from Martinsville to the house, and then move the stuff from here to the house just by hand. Good stuff. Good stuff. That'll be good. That'll be fine. Honestly, the room that I had at the apartment was way smaller than, the room that I used to have here, but it didn't really feel as suffocating. Probably because I didn't have so much shit in it, But, I don't know, maybe that's, I mean, I don't know. I guess since I had, my stuff spread out more, it just didn't feel suffocating. But, I don't know, I think that's what it was. It's just, oh hey, I don't have a coffee table and 2 end tables in here along with all my other shit. So I'm not suffocating, even though this room is much smaller. And I didn't really have over much space. I might be able to, I don't know, depending on the size of different things. I don't know. I might just suggest to Aiden that we, that we put the computer desks, because his desk, my desk, in the living room. Because it's a pretty long living room. I mean, it's decently wide, but it's quite long. So we might be able to just do that. And that way, one of us goes out to the living room, the other one's there, just like playing a game or something, you know, whatever. Um, you know, we just do it like that. I don't know. Once we get stuff moved in, then the limitations of the space will become more apparent. Um, like I said, I don't know. I'm just gonna. This is tarring up. I'm going to need to get a. Like I said, I've gotten a look at the space in the house, but I don't know. Anyway, let's cut away from all this moving talk, and instead cut to what I actually wanted to ramble about, which was this game. So I mean, obviously this game's a lot like Warframe, and I did rant the last time I think about weapons and how one could possibly fix weapons. And Keijo kind of sort of fixes this problem a little bit, but not in a way that is applicable to every character, because he inherits his weapons stats to, for his abilities and stuff. One thing that I suggested last time was just blanket doubling the damage output of all the weapons. And possibly even buffing the demon wedges. I'm going to lean even harder into buffing the demon wedges. So, for those of you who aren't in the know, I'm going to put the mouse on the desk so it doesn't slip off my leg again. For those of you who aren't in the know, is in Warframe, you can go above 100% crit chance on some weapons. You can do this with a couple of mods and like the combo multiplier. This allows you to, for lack of a better term, I guess, over crit. Because if you get over 100% crit chance, something interesting happens. To use Warframe terminology, base crits are yellow. So you have your white number when you do damage and when you crit. And then, when you crit, it's a yellow number. But if you go above 100% crit chance, then all you'll see is yellow numbers. But let's say we have 125% crit chance, just for the sake of the example. So every single number that you see will be yellow, except that 25% of the time, it'll be orange. And I'm not really sure how the crit damage multiplier works. I don't know if it, doubles again or whatever. But, orange crits. And then if you manage to get over 200% crit chance, all of your numbers will be orange. So let's say we go all the way up to 225% crit chance, just for the sake of the example. Every single number you see will be orange, except that 25% of the time you will get a big red number. These are red crits. These are big boy damage. I think DNA could benefit from a system like that, where you buff the demon wedge, you buff, all of the demon wedges, every single rarity, but especially the gold ones, considering the investment that you're putting into them. They definitely should be a lot stronger. They should be inherently stronger than every single rarity below them. At +1, at +0, at +5. But since you can escalate them to +10, we should be able to go over 100% crit chance and get bigger, nastier numbers with the weapons. I think DNA would benefit from, the overcrit system that Warframe has. I mean, considering that they've taken so much inspiration from that game already with some of the characters and the movement, you'd think, oh, hey, yeah, they can do this for weapons. Now the problem there is that DE, at least back when I played Warframe, guns became much less powerful than melee weapons. And in this game, the same problem would persist if we did that. Or this problem would happen here if we did that. So weapons, or ranged guns, need some, ranged weapons need something to be able to compete with melee weapons. Melee weapons have, the big thing that lets them achieve this level of power is the combo meter, right? So, melee weapons in DNA, melee weapons in Warframe both have their combo meters. That's how they do stuff. That's how they, really achieve their highest performance. You know, how do we make the guns fit into that? How do we make the guns still feel powerful when in comparison to the melee weapons? Well, we just look at our previous solution of buffing the demon wedges. Just make the buff stats, like buff all wedges for weapons across the board. All right, just buff them all, make them better, and then on top of that, buff the the ranged weapon demon wedges even more, so that way performance stays roughly equal. Now what this might look like is, ranged weapons being, really, really good, just out of the gate, while melee weapons need, need a little bit of wind-up. It's not over much wind-up at all in either game, at least if memory serves about Warframe correctly. But, the thing about melee weapons, right, is they're faster, generally, and they, you have attack range on them, which lets you hit more than one target, which lets you rapidly build that combo meter. The ranged weapons obviously don't use the combo meter, so they need something else. So, your ranged weapons out of the gate, no wind up, they're gonna come out, they're gonna look really good. And then, but melee weapons obviously just, you got your stances and your animations that look really cool. It feels really good. So leave the combo meter, as it is on melee weapons, and then, make it so that ranged weapons just are buffed. Another thing that this game I think really would benefit from is preserving the combo meter when you switch weapons. All right, there's a handful of weapons in game that have weapon skills on them that specify, oh hey, you have this buff when using the weapon, but it's lost when you shift weapons. All right, that's just a handful of them. All melee weapons lose their combo if you fire even a single bullet, or if you use some of your abilities. I think that this game would benefit a lot if the combo meter was preserved when you switch weapons. Obviously, the weapons that have the whole, oh, this effect is lost when you switch weapons, that's fine. That's whatever. But, having, there's a reason why we have, a timer on the combo meter. And, even have, a wedge to extend the time on the combo meter is, it just makes sense to me, I guess, that you would be able to preserve it, like, oh, hey, for Keijo specifically, even his playstyle revolves around switching between melee and range. So for him, for him specifically, it makes the most sense that, preserve the combo meter when you're in gun mode, and, part of the, I guess skill, for lack of a better term, in using Keijo specifically is being able to, switch, back and forth within the combo meter's time limit. But because the combo meter right now isn't preserved, there really isn't, really the incentive is, do ranged as fast as possible so you can get back to melee and start building up combo again. I think part of that strain would be taken off if it's like, okay, the combo meter is preserved, but you have, however much time to do it, which you can extend with, a demon wedge. Also, another solution is you can have ranged weapons make use of the combo meter. So, you can, right now, you build combo just by hitting enemies with your melee weapon. And you can spend your combo meter by doing ranged attack, by doing a charged attack. Okay, fine, whatever. If we have the combo meter preserved, we can have weapons make use of it. So you build combo with, you know, your melee weapon, and then a secondary way to, you know, either take advantage of the combo meter or even spend it, as it were, is with ranged weapons. And I think this would help. I think this would help the game. I think this would help the combat in the game a lot. It would definitely, because the combat right now is, you know, primarily just you know, keep your skill up times and all this. You know, if you could preserve I think preserving the combo, you know, between like switching from range to like a skill or a ranged weapon would go a long way towards helping the combat. You know, just have more variation. You know, you'll have people who are like, oh yeah, no, I really want to, you know, I really like melee, so I'm going to invest heavily in that, you know, and it's still, you know, it's still good to use. Or, you know, somebody who's like, no, I'm gonna use every single part of the combat. Like, I'm gonna interweave, you know, my ranged weapon attacks with my melee, with my skills, you know. And so you don't have skills take advantage of the combo meter at all, because skills are character dependent, while the combo is for your weapons. Because skill multipliers are already crazy, and can be rendered even crazier by using skill intensity, the skill intensity stat. It's just nuts. So, you know, abilities don't need to make use of the combo meter. You can have characters who make use of it, you know, for like conscience weapons, like Lizbel does. You know, but, you know, that's, you know, she's a you know, characters with conscience weapons are a bit of a unique case. You know, with Lynn, I guess, since she has, you know, her dual pistols as a conscience weapon, you know, building combo with her would be, you know, to potentially have her spend it with, you know, her conscience weapon instead of just the ranged weapon would be interesting. But I think one big step that the game could take is preserving the combo meter when you switch weapons for however much time the combo, you know, you basically can't build combo with a ranged weapon, so it starts ticking down until, you know, time runs out and it goes away. And then yeah, I think I'll go into the feedback channel and put that in there. Like, look, I think this will help the combat a lot. I think this will help the combat a lot. Is, you know, preserving the combo meter #1, and then having ranged weapons able to use it in some fashion as a damage multiplier. You know, so that way you don't run into the DE problem of, well, melee weapons are just better all the time. Especially once you really know how to use them, it gets way better. Yeah, I think that'll help a lot. You know, so I don't know, just me rambling about like game design and stuff. But yeah, you know, I think, yeah, you know, obviously the game still has some rough. This game still has some rough edges, but I think that the devs can, you know, learn from the mistakes that DE made, since, you know, Warframe is a big inspiration, obviously, to you know, to not make the same mistakes DE made with their combat system, and also just have a combat system that it feels really good now to, you know, to just do melee and ranged and stuff until you look at your damage, then it doesn't feel good. But just, you know, doing that, I think, would go a long way towards making the combat, you know, feel better, and then you look at your damage, and then that good feeling doesn't go away, you know? But that's just me. Shit, we don't even know. I guess I shouldn't say we, but I don't even know what who the next 2 characters are in the next patch. I gotta wait 20 days to figure that out, and well, I don't have to wait all 20. They'll announce them, and it's like, ooh. I'm pretty sure I know at least one of them. You know. But I think, yeah. I think just, I think the preservation of the combo meter is, like, the big thing. Because that'll make switching weapons, you know, not, you know, oh, hey, I could switch to my ranged weapon, but I'm going to lose a bunch of, you know, I'm going to lose a bunch of damage, you know, off my melee. You know, so why would I do that? You know, um, you know, it's just one of those things. You know, I mean, you know, being able to grind out the characters for free is really, really nice. I love that. Being able to grind out the weapons for, you know, totally free is really good. I love that. You know, being able to, you know, skip the grind and just, you know, flat out pay for characters and weapons. Hey, you know, it's you know, it's similar to the Warframe model where it's not necessarily pay to win, it's pay to win faster. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with pay to win faster. You know, yeah, I'm okay with pay to win faster. You know, you can grind to win. You know, it'll take time and you know and you know your actual like physical energy because it's not a stamina system. Or you can, you know, if you have the money and don't necessarily want to do that, then yeah, pay to win faster. It's fine. You know, the real you know the real end game is fashion, which speaking of the fashion, I don't know how they're going to work the banner outfits into you know, I don't know how they're gonna work the banner outfits after they pass. Like I was really lucky and I got the Psyche outfit. You know, but for the people that weren't lucky or the people that joined after that banner had passed, are they just like, oh hey, look, this is this thing you missed forever because, you know, you weren't playing then? Or are we going to see rerun banners for we're going to see rerun banners for the exclusive outfits for characters? Or are they eventually just going to go, okay, it's been a number of patches since the Psyche, it's been, you know, a number of patches since the Psyche outfit, we're just going to put it in the shop so where you can, you know, just buy it, you know. You know, also just having items, you know, cosmetic items. I think what they should do is, you know, when they release the fashion items, have a you know, have a time period where, you know, oh hey, this just released, so for the duration of, you know, half of the patch, you know, the first set of the first set of the set of items for this first half of the patch, they're going to be at a discounted price. And then after that, you know, after the time period, the discount is gone. You know, you pay like a full price. You know, it's like, oh, this is like 50% off for 20 days. And then after that, it doesn't go out of the shop. It just goes to full for the 50% discount, and then it goes away. And then they can occasionally go, okay, so it's been a number of patches, or it's like, you know, Christmas or Chinese New Year or whatever. You know, we're gonna have a shop discount on, you know, some items that aren't, you know, discounted. You know, I think that could be really good for, you know, I mean, they can't monetize the characters and the weapons the same way because of how they removed the gacha system, but I think that would be a really good, healthy way to, you know, bring in money and make it, I mean, obviously, FOMO is powerful. FOMO is a powerful market force that you can levy to, you know, make people buy. But it's not gonna capture everybody. And, you know, that's, you know, just bringing back things occasionally, discounting things, you know, keeping things in the shop and discounting them occasionally, so that way we can see, like, a really, really, you know, we can see, like, these old accounts that have been, you know, putting, you know, a few dollars here and there into making characters look cool. You know, and then you've also got new accounts that, you know, maybe they spend a little bit more. to, you know, just get, you know, a bunch of these, you know, items that, you know, were discounted a while back, you know, whatever. You know, I think that'll be really good. But you know, hey, I'm not a marketing expert. I'm not a game design expert. These are just my rambling thoughts for improvements on the game. Um, you know, real. It's too bad I'm not a bigger YouTuber. Otherwise, I might actually have some sway. The devs might listen to me. But I think some of the you know, some of the changes that I suggested, while they might not be a perfect solution, they might those changes I suggested might spark some ideas. Like, oh wait, actually, you know, instead of, you know, such and such, you know, instead of, you know, weapons, you know, all weapons using the combo meter, shit, we just you know, yeah, we just, yeah, dude, you know, like I said, it might not be the perfect idea, but, you know, I think it might be a good start. You know, they could experiment with it. Go, oh, okay, well, we've heard from the community, and you know, figured, okay, the community wants, you know, the community thinks this would look good. You know, we did some close testing on the dev server, and you know, we got the system to work, and yada yada yada, and it's, you know, we've noticed an improvement, so we're gonna release it out to, you know, to the people. You know, it's just a matter of, you know, yeah, just a matter of, you know, getting the ideas to the devs so that way they can go, okay, this is what the community wants. And, you know, this will improve the health of the game. Because, man, I love this game. I love this game so much. And I don't want to see it go away prematurely. I mean, all things go away with time. But I don't want to see it go away prematurely. You know. Yeah, I want to see where the story goes. Especially the other half. You know, we got a big main character. You know, we got a big you know, this whole patch was a, you know, the story patch. The story parts here were a big, you know, for our Charon main character, but we still need to you know, get the other half with our Solara main character. Also, you know, I think it might eventually come to pass, but being able to just use the Solarian main character, you know, in, you know, outside of, you know, the Solarian chapters, because, you know, you can't right now. You know, you really didn't get much use for the Solarian main character, even, you know, in the Solarian chapter, which, you know, is kind of a weak point of that. Oh, I didn't eat enough before this. I'm gonna have to let that go. Ugh. Alright. Jolly Rancher. Jolly Rancher. I'm actually gonna drink first. Okay. Ugh. Being a little... got that knot in my stomach. Definitely should have eaten more before the stream. But, you know, c'est la vie, as it were. But, yeah, I think, you know, you know, like I said before, the game is rough around the edges, and they did smooth out a few of the edges in between CBT2 and now. You know, but that doesn't mean that there aren't still improvements to be made. Where is the seam on this? This one's kind of melted, so am I just gonna have to rip it off? Yeah, okay, we're just gonna rip the plastic off because I don't know what the seam is. GZ struggles with hard candy. The stream. Probably gonna adjust a little bit of plastic here. Oh no, I found the seam. Come on. Be free! Be free! There we go. Jesus. get one more drink before I pop this in. Okay. Oh. Yeah. You know, those are my suggestions for improving the game right now. You know, obviously, you know, like I said, I don't think it'll be a perfect fix, but I think it'll go a long way. You know, and obviously, I just, you know, I proposed what I believe are the simplest, easiest solutions. Um, you know, and those solutions might not have the greatest effectiveness, but I think those you know, it'll at least serve to, you know, get some ideas going, you know, as opposed to just leaving the combat where it is, you know, deeply flawed. Um, so, you know, I don't know. Maybe this VOD will reach somebody's ears and they can comment on my ideas, like, oh, GZ, you're an idiot because, you know, this won't work because of X, Y, and Z. Or they'll go, okay, I see what you're going for, and maybe not go so extreme with buffing the demon wedges, where it's just, you know. I do think weapon demon wedges do need a buff. You know, because the weapon wedges don't have something like Covenanters, where you can stack them, you know. And so, you know, that's one thing that differentiates character power from weapon power. I also think that the wedges that change your, you know, your movement, your melee combos, like the one that changes your, you know, the ones that change your you know, your moveset. I think those should be like those special center wedges that characters have, but on melee weapons. And, you know, obviously, oh, well, that'll just make melee weapons even more powerful because you have 9 wedge slots instead of 8. Yeah, but if you can make your ranged weapons take more, more direct use of the combo meter, you know, then, you know, that will assist. And, you know, obviously you could also just have ranged weapons have a center wedge as well, where, you know, maybe that's how it's specifically they make use of the combo meters. You slot in a wedge where it's like, oh, hey, you know, for each level of combo, you know, your, I don't know, crit rate on the melee weapon, on your ranged weapon, is increased by, you know, like, I don't know, like 50% or something. You know, or like trigger probability, or crit damage, or just raw damage. You know, just have that be the way that's integrated into ranged weapons, and then just have the stance change wedges as the center wedges for your, you know, for your melee weapons. I mean, they have some effects, like some of them increase, you know, attack range and your crit stats and stuff. But, you know, have them to where, you know, you can, you know, just slot the stance change. You don't need to actually think, like, okay, how is slotting this stance change going to, you know, that's one wedge that I'm possibly thinking about devoting to the 8. You know, I mean, it's a solution. Might not be the best, but it's an idea. It's an idea. And, you know, also by using the stance change wedges as, you know, center wedges instead of, you know, one of the 8, you can then slot in, you know, an 8th wedge to, you know, help with the, you know, the power imbalance between weapons and characters. Of course, you know, consonance weapons you know, I think they partially scale off your character stats, and they have their own wedges. So I don't think they need the same changes. Um, possibly, possibly those wedges might need a smaller buff in comparison to the other wedges. That, and you can only slot 4 of them. So, that's another little bit of consideration there. I got 11 goldfish out of that. Holy shit. But we're sitting at 14k fish coins. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Give me that money. Oh, another tight mill. Hell yes. Alright, so what do we need next? We need... Let's go for character XP next. Which one's cheaper? 200 for 20. Well, hold on. So you get 2 per, so it's really 100. Yeah, so it's really 100. And then 140 for 1. So this one's actually cheaper. Hand it over. I should probably also grab the Carmine globules. Just... Oh, fuck. Those are expensive. Holy shit. See, this is 250. Yeah. Give me that. Give me that. Give me that. Alright. Well, I think that's enough rambling for now. I do need to, I do have a work day tomorrow, so, I best, do a little bit of grinding, and, do a little bit of grinding before bed, and then, do a little bit of grinding before bed, and then, go to bed. But I will see you all next time. Until then, later.